You've got Hyper in it, you got Fresh, you got a bunch of people on Chaos's side probably trawling through those VODs. And you're talking about VODs, look at the last two matchups that we saw BDS play on Oregon. They were both during the major, and they won both of them. I think it was 7-4 against Virtus Pro, which, you know, given Virtus Pro's lack of skill on Oregon, that's not a surprise. However, they beat G2 on it 7-3. So the last two matches have been super positive for BDS on Oregon. They started off the first stage, I think, really poor on it, other than against Team Secret. So for the most part, they have a really good history on Oregon. If they do poorly here, it's because Chaos is pulling something wild out of the bag.
What? Mirror ban? Out of
Hello?
BDS?
Wamai? Where is it? Where's the Wamai?
What world is this? Oh my word, there is not going to be a Wamai ban and BDS are on the field. Something has changed. Something has transformed about these boys.
It's chaos.
Yeah. I mean, the name kind of bleeds into it, right? It's got to be chaos. It's got to be one of these kind of games. The Kali ban was the most interesting one coming out there, admittedly. Looking at it coming out of BDS, not a ban I expected to see.
The only time they've ever banned Kali on Oregon was against Team Empire, and that game didn't go very well for them at all. They got 7-1 by Team Empire.
It's a curse.
Let's hope it's not a curse, because we don't want to see that. We don't want to see that. Mirror Bear does make sense, for me at least, because if you look over on Chaos, there's a notorious Mirror player by the name of Vito on that team, and he's still on the lineup. So we've got two new faces. We've got to point it out. Next one, Cryan. Not too new for most of the community. You'll mostly know those names, but for Chaos, this is about restructuring, reinvigorating, and getting themselves up off the bottom of the ladder.
They've got an ADS down in Small Tower. They have themselves the Malusi gadget down. They have another ADS. Is this a Small Tower hold?
I have not seen one of these
ADSs,
forever.
every single one in Small Tower.
My heart is racing. This is what I needed. This is what, when I said I want a reinvigorated Chaos, this is what I meant.
Chaos have just built themselves a burning heat made up of the other teams in EUL and now stand atop it, burning to death themselves, just laughing like an absolute maniac because they know this is the time to do things differently. They haven't been seen on this map. There is nothing any other team can take away from it. This is all their chance to surprise, and playing inside a Small Tower is definitely going to be one of them. This either goes spectacularly and they're heralded as heroes and it's a new era for Chaos, or it completely falls by the wayside. Everything goes wrong and they're a laughingstock. Come on, boys, no pressure.
Look, if I'm looking at the history of BDS going up against Dining Kitchen, they've won the site 2 times on attack and lost it 2 times. They've got a 50-50 chance here if stats tell anything.
Well, they're in a spot here where they're being pressured out from all sides, as you would expect when someone is normally playing in this spot. It is Renewals pretty much entirely by himself, and I'll always say, look at the time being wasted. 2 drones so far have gone in. No doubt grenades are going to start singing in, but secretly, no way! Draws the focus over to Small Tower and secretly strikes from out towards Kids with a free kill out through the double window, and this... wow, this is one way to make BDS start guessing. Breede's going to strike back and find one onto Cryan. Shaiko picking up next one. So they say, you know what? Forget about the one playing inside a Small Tower. Forget about Renewals. We care about site. Let's go and take it.
If you've only got one person in Small Tower, don't invest more than 30 seconds. If you can't displace him, give it up. Get someone to hold the rotate down on Small Tower window or door. And then once he gets flushed out, he doesn't have a lot of verticality there to play with. So do it that way. But they've got to go pick up the diffuser now. About half the round left. They've got good number count, but they don't know that there's a Valkyrie cam out on bus. This could be really bad for them.
Still got so much to play with because you've still got this one member, Vito, holding really, really close at the bottom of Shower Corridor into Small Tower. So there's 2 of them here looking to provide a little bit of support to each other. Admittedly, Renewals is on a do-or-die mission here. He really can't afford to do much. I say that, somehow manages to pick up Shaiko. So this hold is working. 1 minute and 45 in. They're down to a 3 versus 3, but the amount of drones they've eaten inside a Small Tower, the amount of time they've now dragged away from the attacking side is incredible. Alem's still going to strike back towards Secretly, so it puts us into a 3 versus 2, and there we go. This is the weakness of the strategy. If you commit far too much in towards Small Tower, is they can just take control of Kitchen and then look to go for a plant as they've done now. This should be an impossible retake situation for Renewals.
The only thing on his side now is that he has a silencer on his main weapon. No traces to give away his position, so he'll go top down. There's a player up on the hatch awaiting him. Will he know this, however? And the Sledge is very aware of his position. Nades will rain up. Surely it collects him. No, it doesn't. to be able to jump down, but there's a 7-second defuse, and Alems is on the other side with the skeleton key, and a good round there for BDS. And exactly what you said that round, Derry. If you have a problem on one side of the map, or not even on one side of the map, if you have a problem on one site, just go to the other. Give up. You don't want to be spending way too much time dealing with that one problem when you could just negate it all and go to the other side.
I admire the creativity at the very least. I do like it when teams do bring something different here, but I guess now comes that question of, well, it's been broken. Is it time to now switch back over and play standard and play the way that Oregon is normally played by most teams and just try and win in a straight up normal game of Oregon? Or do we keep on trying something different? And from the looks of it, they are going to go and play relatively, I suppose, normal, looking towards the Goya being brought out here to help them lock down some of the runes with those shields. The Valkyrie cameras again being brought out. That Melusi becoming really popular as well. Pretty much every team we've seen today play so far has brought her along at some stage or another.
Another interesting fact that when you speak about Melusi, is that she also has both impacts and C4s to choose from. There's so much you can do with her, and she's got a set and forget gadget. It's what I like to call them, is when you can just throw them up on a wall, the ground, or wherever, and then off you go, and now your job either becomes gunning, impact tricking, C4ing, whatever it might be, and that's super handy. I think, you see Renault's there on the go-go. That's another kind of set and forget operator as well for the most part. There is a bit more strategy to it. But the Melusi Banshees have such a radius, though. It's not only just an indicator that someone's pushing, it eats up a lot of sound, and it makes them slower as well. So she's a bit OP depending on where you push.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
She reminds me of Jaeger in that sense, and I guess it's the nice thing about it is once she's put those gadgets down, off she goes, and she can do, like you say, all the things that a Jaeger can do once those ADSs have been placed down. No surprise at all that the pairing playing that is Next One and Crying together. In case those of you don't know, they were initially on Diffuse Kids, later changed to being Lowland Lions. They competed in Challenger League, and coming up against Team Secret on the final playday, if they had won that game, they would have made it into EUL Stage 1 not too long ago. Secret would have been the ones left inside a Challenger League, and there was a very infamous moment inside there where it came down to having to win those ones, and well, sadly they did not. So unfortunately, that's put them into a spot where Lowland Lions were stuck down for a while, and now, of course, with these two jumping into Chaos, this could give an awful lot of strength to this team that they haven't had for a long time in terms of aggression and gunning capability. And what the hell is that pixel, Jess?
That's absolutely ridiculous. That's what that is.
Well, it's not really a pixel, but it's still naughty.
No one would expect that. He also has a shield on the hatch as well, so they can't buck underneath to displace him. And I believe they also have a bedroom closet rotate. We were talking about Chaos being very innovative, and I also think that rotate into closet, into bedroom, is something that we've not really seen teams do. You often see them close it all up, impact trick it, bandit trick it, Kaid trick it. That's an interesting one, but now they know that Melusi is roaming and she's gone all the way downstairs. Impact's coming handy there, able to rotate all over the map. I'm not sure Crime will do much damage over there because it looks like the push, as BDS does, will come from underneath and then push up either through wide stairs, bedroom, etc.
Just trying to force him away from playing this spot here, and although he's on the other side, as you say, not really taking any damage, he's more than happy just to sit back and wait, but they can see the angle themselves in reverse. Alem almost getting dropped out there, but not quite. Going to keep himself alive, at least for now. However, only on about 10 HP is not the prettiest situation to be in. So a lot of vertical work being done, but not the conventional attack that we're used to seeing on this map, where normally you would look to take inside of the bedroom, you'd look to take inside of attic, and then push from east to west into the site and try and go for a plant. Instead, there is a massive focus here on the big window, as well as a couple playing downstairs. And for the second time in a row, they haven't dealt with that Valkyrie camera on the south side. It's giving a lot of information over to Chaos.
It seems that BDS has better shots, however, even if they've got the intel, secretly using that rotate and the shield on the rotate to his great advantage. Cryan's still below. He should be able to deal with this buck on a lick of health, and he does. And now it looks like BDS, they're the ones that are just going to have to come shooting up wherever they can, and this looks like the execute will start. They're just better gunners. That's all it is, Derry.
Oh, but he's walking straight into smoke, so maybe not quite the best at knowing exactly what air he can and cannot walk in and out of. It's down to a 2 versus 2. One of those being Next One and Renewals left on the other side. They will be able to revive and shoot, but a double C4 kill is going to come singing out. Beautifully placed by Renewals. Can they do the hard yards? Yes, they can. Chaos taking round number 2 in a flurry of final kills. That big C4 at the end, all they needed to make sure things were going to go their way.
I love that shield. That shield setup is great. I think the biggest problem with it is that if a bedroom and an armory take was to occur, if BDS had have stuck to doing that take, that shield becomes less relevant very quickly. But my understanding is that if they hear a bedroom push or drones come in, that they would pick up the shield and look to reinforce. I can't see the reinforcement pool, so I don't know if they have an extra one in their pocket. Kind of what you do on bottom floor Oregon as well, where when you're done with blue bunker elbow, you just reinforce up and feel a little bit safer. Maybe that's the plan with that particular setup. But it all seemed aimed towards exactly where BDS were pushing. And that double C4 kill onto White, I mean, brilliant. This is a different Chaos, Des. This is not Chaos from last stage at all.
No. I mean, you look back at round one and think, okay, things didn't go so well there. Again, we appreciate the attempt at innovation, just didn't quite strike true for them. Last round just there, looked a bit dicey. It looked like, as you said, BDS were going to win their ones. They'd be the one to close the round out. Heading into round three, heaven knows what they are going to serve us on a silver platter for our enjoyment and delight. Heading downstairs, supply and laundry going to be the site. Nothing really to shout home about, I think, on either side. One thing we have seen a couple of times already today that is very interesting, I saw it back in game number one between Rogue and Empire, is the sledge and the book being brought in tandem, both of them being brought at the same time. We haven't seen that for quite a long time, not since Buck had his frag grenades.
Yeah, absolutely. And not a lot of Buck play, which is disappointing for the most part because, I mean, his weapon is quite good. Oh, good night.
Renewals, what are you doing?
That was disgusting.
I mean, it was disgusting, but also quite foolish to think you can get away with it that late in. For the sake of a barricade as well, not even like it was a reinforcement. I don't know, man.
Wow. Well, that was a good pickup there, and that was an absolutely necessary kill. They had a drone waiting around Blue Bunker, so they knew he was barricading the door quite late. They'll pick that kill up for free, giving them a really good numbers advantage going into this particular round. It's a round that BDS really need as well, because the more attacking rounds they put on the board, the more comfortable they'll be going into their second half on defense, which, well, if Chaos is more innovative on their defense, that's where most of their rounds are going to come from.
Already the smoke canisters being forced out here. I mean, makes total sense. You soak it out, you pull yourself back in, you reinforce that wall, you're back inside the site safe. And if anyone really wants to run the gauntlet of trying to push you through that smoke, one, they're going to lose quite a chunk of HP in doing so. And two, they might be walking into the receiving end of a shotgun, i.e. it is just not worth trying to contest the smoke once he smokes that out. But it is a very good indication that he has pulled back, so now they know that he shouldn't be there anymore. Vito almost getting himself tagged down to nothing here, selling about 10 HP. And BDS in no rush here. They know what they need to do. They've got 4 playing outside of construction, 1 playing up on Big Tower, and already you're starting to see members of Chaos bleeding out. Next one down, another one falls as Vito is picked off. This puts us into a glorified 3 versus 2 as a member is down on either side, and I really don't see a way in which next one gets revived here. Renshiro, though, does get picked back up.
Oh, that's a good move up the back stairs for Crying there. He might be able to abate this push and they'll be able to go behind the shield and get next one back up. But Renshiro says goodnight to next one. All these open holes that they made themselves are working against them now. Pillar play for the Jaeger. Looks like just secretly and Crying to be able to hold this one down. And with a whole minute left, I can't see how this is possible unless they take out Renshiro, who's quite low health.
Well, they've gone for a rotation here upstairs, which I think is the right call. 3 of you pushing in from the construction side. Really not the best idea. It's very one-dimensional, and all the defenders have got to do is sit and hold those cross angles. So I like how they pull one back here. Crying goes to the peek out and almost connects, but also almost gets connected onto himself. Not going to find himself going down, but it still gives a bit of freedom here for him to sit behind and just hold that back, this pressure coming out from either side. Bride's going to find one, and it looked like it might be the round for Chaos, but no. Rafal and Bride finding those final 2 kills give BDS the round, and as mentioned, a patient round with some good decision making at the end to rotate to Big Tower comes up big for the French team.
When you try to displace the pillar player, the best way to do it is either with utility or a pinch push from both pillar door and from backstairs. And the trouble with that is that they also had a soft wall into sight looking back at them. So they had to contest with a lot of different angles there. And I think it was a timing thing as well. No one was peeking back onto backstairs. It gave them the opportunity to pressure down on the Jaeger on the shield. And as a result, they were able to move in bit by bit by bit, not challenged by the angles that the defenders themselves had opened up. And it really worked against them for the most part.
We're going to try that one again. They say, right, time for a repeat. Forget about the other sites. We didn't bother trying kitchen and dining once more. Let's go down to supply and laundry and see what more we can pull off. See what we need to change here to keep the invaders at bay. And for BDS there, I mentioned earlier on in the middle of the round how they did have someone inside a Big Tower. They were looking to try to salt down, and Crying very expertly dealt with them, run up the stairs as you clocked and killed them pretty simply. Then had a second one rotate round, which he couldn't quite deal with so simply because all they had to do was sit there and just hold the pressure. Just let Crying know, we are here. You haven't got the freedom of movement here, buddy. Don't go trying to pull anything too funny. And because they were pinned in spot, it all came down to gunfights being won, as we saw, by BDS coming out at the end to close things out for them. Nothing too hard to worry about. So for Chaos here, that was played out the way that I'd expect, just not quite winning the gunfights that were absolutely critical to win. But that seems to be the feel across the 3 rounds so far. You've already... Oh, my Lord. Next one. After getting no kills in the first 3 rounds, he thinks, you know what? Time to do something nutty. And Renshiro, I think, agrees. Question mark. What the hell?
No, okay, so that question mark is about the fact that you need to give anyone who spawns, yes, 2 full seconds. Was it 2 full seconds or not? We will see. Because you can contest that. They haven't said anything in chat, so if they don't contest it, then the round is theirs if they do happen to win it. But that's a nasty one for BDS. They lose a very key player there.
If anyone is wondering why those rules exist, I think it's pretty fair to say no one wants to jump into the map and instantly get popped as soon as you take your first step forward. I think we're all used to the things like the parking lot runouts on bank from our ranked experiences. It's trying to avoid things like that. Shaiko now trying to burst open the L down the bottom. That shield is caught in down the bottom, but with the Wamai in place, well, we all know how this tends to play out. They often get caught up by either the ADSs or caught out entirely by the magnets coming out. Vito's going to catch Rafael. That puts us into a 5 versus 3. And that could yet be a very interesting contentious issue about the start of that round, Jess. That could give a whole reset here in a situation where Chaos are definitely standing up as the leaders.
They could contest it anywhere through the round, I believe. That's how it works. And then the admins will discuss it. So we'll see whether or not that's something they choose to do, especially if they lose the round. But, ooh, kicking back in a smart fashion. Maybe they won't lose it after those couple of kills. We spoke about this before. You need the pillar pressure. You need the backstairs pressure. And now it's all up to Secretly and Reynolds. We've seen them hit some really good shots. And there's another one with the silencer.
I was about to say, please reload, please reload, please reload. And he did eventually go for it in the end as he pulled back into a more defensive spot. It's still 2 versus 2, and there's a minute and 15 seconds on the clock. This isn't a late round scrap. This is BDS being given all the time in the world, and we saw this in the last round. They weren't panicked. They had 60 seconds to play with and chose to rotate someone to Big Tower. There's a kind of early flurry of explosions going on in terms of people dying or getting caught up in gunfights, but after that, it does feel like BDS just hunker down for a second, get back on what drones they have left. We'll give it to Chaos. They've been very good at dealing with that. To the stage, they now have no drones left, but then it's trying to find the kills, in which case Renewals is the one collecting the debt of death here. 2 kills for himself, and Renewals going to find the final one. That closes things out for Chaos and gives them the 4th round.
A very contentious 4th round as well. A spawn peak that quite possibly could have nicked the 2-second mark, and whether or not it was, I mean, I didn't pay enough attention to know. He moved 1 step, but was it the 2 seconds he needed? And it doesn't look to me like they will contest it. So for the most part, the game will continue. But that's a round that Chaos may have just pulled from the depths of nowhere. And now we're going 2 apiece as we go into sort of the last round here of the first half. BDS not looking too good here on their attacks.
I'd say they're looking okay. Like, it's
okay
not world
compared
ending
to their usual BDS status, we'll say.
I mean, I guess it depends how you think about it, because there's been some criticism levied at BDS, I think, in the last couple of days by a certain analyst in the community who believes that they have a number of issues in terms of how they approach the game. And whether or not you agree is entirely down to opinion and how you perceive the way they play, but I wouldn't be surprised if for BDS, knowing that they've kind of been built on this backbone of Shaiko being the one tearing the team forward and ripping up enemy teams, if now there has to be an element of kind of settling in this team. They've enjoyed the highs they've got to. It's now trying to build out this more strategically based play that doesn't involve just picking up frags. However, in this game, I'd argue that actually that's all they need to do. Chaos aren't in a position where it feels like in the mid-round often they are able to match kill for kill, and that is doing nothing but playing into BDS's favor. If they carry on at this pace, this could end up being a 3-3 or even a 4-2 to them on the attacking half here in Oregon, and that only spells bad news for Chaos.
I just want to point out that replay. 3 seconds, barely.
Legal.
Legal. Nice. Nice. That's what we would say.
I want to know how planned that was as well, like how prepared they were for that the whole time.
Sometimes when players are spawn peak, I don't think they necessarily think of that. But nonetheless, he got it, and it was within regulation, so we'll give him that. Looks like the drones will come streaming through from Junkyard. It looks like it'll be a west-to-east swipe of the map. Very possibly, yet again, looking to plant at the double window. That's where we saw them last time. That's looked like their trajectory of where they wanted to get that plant out. But Chaos's setup has been a bit of a detriment to that plant, especially with the shield on the hatch. I really feel like that's been a mainstay for them. And maybe they'll Hibana it from underneath. Oh, let's go.
Looks like it. And like, we can do nothing about this now. Abandon ship, boys. Abandon ship. That shield is gone. The hatch is gone. Everything comes crashing down to the ground. With that being open, as you say, there is an aspect here of aggression to come from below if they want to. Grenades can come singing up if they so choose. It looks like white stairs is going to be their point of attack. And we've seen this already today, where it comes down to taking big window. You take white stairs and you look to execute from there. A little unconventional, as most teams have always focused on, instead taking over master, taking attic and pushing forward from there. I think what a lot of teams have kind of acknowledged is over time, taking attic requires a lot of utility burn. So if you can make it work in an alternative direction, like pushing up white stairs or from double window, why not?
Why not indeed? And in fact, something that we haven't pointed out is that Cryan's been allowed to roam all over the map multiple rounds in a row on Malusi over and over and over again. And for the most part, he actually hasn't encountered anyone. In fact, he's just sort of been lurking somewhere on the map. And it's when he rotates back later on in the round that he manages to have a little bit of damage. I think he could be a little bit more aggressive with that lurk, maybe even just make his presence more known so that they focus on him more. And at the moment, I don't even think they know he's down here. But hey, Renshiro will kick things off on a secret on the smoke that was challenging those verticals.
It's enough for them. I mean, you saw Shaiko trying to spray from below as well to catch the one playing inside the game. Renewal's actually down to the last lease of life here, and it was secretly playing in the back on the smoke of all things. Bit of an aggressive rotate through for Cryan. Making use of those impacts for the later round rotates to try and get his way back through security to catch out onto white stairs here. I wonder if BDS knew. They don't appear to. No, and he gets behind. How did you not hear the impact nade in the next room to you and gets away with a double kill? Not that it matters, as BDS are still flinging themselves ahead into the lead here. Next one's all by himself, and outside of that cheeky spawn peek in the last round, he hasn't had all that much going for him so far. There is a lot of work to do, and they've still got 10 seconds to play with here. It's going to come down to one frag. They step into the room. It's all too easy for Alem to collect that kill. BDS will find themselves at 3 and 2 on the attacking half. That, to me, is a massive success going into the defensive side after the next round.
Really good way for BDS to sort of kick that round off, especially. I was a little bit worried for them, especially in their attack. I was looking back at their last Oregon matchup, and that was against G2 and of course, the August mini-major, and they had managed to get at least 4 of their attacking rounds as a win against G2, which is a hard thing to do when you think of G2 and how powerful and consistent they have been as a team over the past couple of months. So I would have expected more of BDS given those statistics. However, I think the setups we're seeing from Chaos, if they haven't scrimmed them, you can't know they're going to set up that way. They've never, like as you said, they've never played Oregon. So this is why we're seeing them so different. They're playing so off meta than we would consider the new Oregon to be, that it's sort of throwing a spanner in the works here for BDS maybe. It's making them take a little bit more time when BDS are quite time efficient as a team anyway.
Oh, they're going to try it again, Jess. They're doubling down. Oh my God, he looked the wrong way as well.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I managed to catch that as you were doing your play-by-play, and I thought to myself, oh, goodness me, he's going to miss it, but it didn't really matter as a whole. What I'm wondering now is that BDS know what's going to happen. They know where the side is now. They've got Shaiko with his drone spotting small tower, knowing what's going on. Do they just do what they did last time and go, we cannot deal with this. Let's just commit all of our time towards bedroom and then go that way and across and down rather than go in a small tower? I mean, we'll see.
Time will tell. It's all about playing this one a bit more effectively than the last time round. They did waste a lot of time. I'll give them that. It almost worked. If only we didn't see Cryan and Nets one getting picked off the way they did. A little bit kind of overconfident, I think, in their peaks and being willing to challenge onto the aggressors of BDS. Came back to punish them ultimately. And look at this. Here we go. This is one element I think we saw in the last round too much was what was going on in Big Tower. And it's Cryan holding up here. So that's him and Renewals basically resigning themselves to death here by saying, I'm willing to play aggressive and challenge. Will he get away with this? It looks like he will. And sounds like BDS commit a little bit of utility into trying to catch him on his way out. That is a close one.
Oh, he barely got away with his life there. Shaiko's been able to hit people as they're running away. We saw in Blue Bunker previous rounds before. Shaiko doesn't miss, but on that occasion, 1 second too late. That's okay, though. They've barely delayed really any time, and for the most part, all of the rotates are opened up for them. So as they make their way through attic and over to bedroom, as we said before, they're just not going to care about small tower. Is it the right move? I believe so. No point investing all of that utility over there.
The question now is, what do the side of Chaos do? When do they back away and say, right, okay, they're definitely not pushing this side of the map. It's time to leave it and go for the other side. It looks like BDS aren't even bothering, like you say, with the contest early on, as they're putting all their focus out towards the east side instead. Absolutely appears to be the case, and now there should be some awareness from the side of Chaos to start moving members out of small tower, get them into the more default positions for defending this site. And that starts with 1 or 2 playing upstairs to deny the vertical control away from BDS, because realistically, you need that vertical control if you're going to try and plant inside of kitchen.
Looks like they've herded all of the teammates upstairs. They want Shaiko up there. They want everyone up there. Renshiro's already trying to challenge onto bunks. Shaiko will come on in and see whether or not he can help this pinch along. There is wide stairs presence, so the pinch is going to be held back from the defenders. I think this is just going to be a top floor slaughter. Who can hit their shots here?
Top floor slaughter. I live for it. I relish it. When the blood is spilt over a scrap on something that isn't even the site. And there we go, Renshiro being the first one to take a bit of damage. Shaiko bites back and kicks up secretly, almost losing his own life in the process. Now it's going to be a cold spray through as Raphael picks up a second one as well. Things aren't going the way they wanted. It's a team kill even to bring things out, but all the kills are still going the way of BDS. Jess, you said it once today already. It just feels like they're the better gun as it stands. Crying by himself in a 1 versus 3. Admittedly, people on the side of BDS are low HP. In fact, everyone is. This is like golden gun mode now. One-click headshots everywhere and everyone will be falling down. Whether or not they can collect the kills is a different question, and Crying has got it all to do. Finds it down into Shaiko. That's one of them. Finishes him off as well a second later or so. There we go. Now he's got to find the next 2. And time is not on his side. 25 seconds. 1 rotating up towards green. 1 by the looks of it playing out towards dining. And a whole lot of work to do. These spots being held. The longer range angles definitely make this tough here. I don't see a way in which he finds those kills. Renshiro finds it onto Crying. End of round. BDS 4-2 on the attacking half. I was optimistic at the start that Chaos could do something, but admittedly, it does feel like it slipped away pretty quickly.
I think the trouble with Chaos is that they're so good at coming up with these ideas, and, you know, I'm going to throw it to guys like Fresh, Hyperino, etc., and go, this is a great idea. I don't want them to think it is not. However, you must have a backup plan. If you start to feel that the push is coming from the other side of the map, that's when Wamai should be picking up his discs and going, okay, I can quick peek to check if anyone's watching me from the window of a small tower, the door, or whatever it might be. They've even been using Valkyrie cams to apply that intel onto themselves. But then they need to rotate. Then everyone needs to go, all right, they're not pushing here. Let's rotate our resources over to this particular spot and hold White Hallway, for example, or try and even do a double flank for that, you know, to be able to just give them something. They could go down Freezer Stairs all the way up to Armory and pinch that way. They just didn't do it. And it gave BDS too much map control, too much sectioning, and by the time they had Shaiko rotate up and just absolutely slaughter them, it seemed pretty well done from that point.
Let's see how this round plays out now that things have switched sides. The thing that me and Hap alluded to back at the very start of the broadcast is Siege is a game of 2 halves. What you see on the attacking side for a team may be very wildly different to the sort of experience you get when they're on the defensive side. And BDS are the ones who've got to shape up on the defense here and just basically get 2 or 3 rounds on the board. And that's it. Chaos are in the dirt. BDS continue the dominant form that we saw from them last season. Admittedly, a little bit less so towards the end of the season. They were much stronger at the start with 3 consecutive 7-1 victories in their first 3 play days. I don't think it's going to be quite so dominant today, but you can already see the signs of we are here and we mean business. Do not meddle with our guns, because we know full well that we can beat pretty much anyone when it comes to a gunfight.
I think that's been the leaning fact. Did he just shoot his teammate's drone? No. Very possibly he just shot Vito's drone. That was unfortunate. Nonetheless, another drone will come in for next one, and Vito will join him on pushing down. It looks like a speedy entry into the back stairs is what they want. A Banshee will await them, so that will negate his rush down the back stairs. But things are kicking off very fast here for Chaos. This is obviously something they spoke about, that I guess their pushes were too slow. We spoke about it, you know, last stage, about them being quite slow and unpredictable and therefore inconsistent. So maybe this is them trying to make up for that.
The pace and a bit of speed never really hurt anyone. Unless, of course, you're the team on the receiving end of it. Chaos starting out on the big tower for now. 3 of them actually stacking up here as well, all gathered around either the hatch or inside of the stairway, just trying to force BDS back inside of supply and laundry so they can get their way in towards boiler and start their assault downwards. And here we go. I'm going to contest onto secretly. I think that is all the presence now outside in construction removed, which means everyone else is currently upstairs above them. No worry about the pressure from the east means they can now turn all their attention towards the hatch or towards these stairs. And the question now lies with Chaos. What are you going to do to spice things up? Because if you try and send 2 down these stairs and 2 down the hatch, I think we all know that that story only ends in tears.
The big thing I want to point out as well is that once all of those flashes started raining in and people were getting displaced from their positions, you know what BDS said? They said, well, now we have to challenge. Now we're not in a good position here to run back to site because our rotates are cut. So they challenge, boom, blue bunker kill, easy. Now they're going to have to rotate Vito to replace that dead player of Secretly, and it's not looking good for them because it's 1 minute left and they haven't really been able to take any control. And Shaiko, it's the Shaiko story here, ladies and gentlemen. And, well, now it's the BDS flawless story.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So, you know, I mentioned at the start of this round the whole piece around teams change sides, expectations change, you're not always going to see the same thing. We have just seen the same thing. BDS just clapping the living hell out of Chaos, basically. Unfortunate, I suppose, but that puts things at 5-2, and I don't think this train is slowing down anytime soon. With the way things are trending right now, it feels like Chaos have got to a point where they had this creative idea they really wanted to use to kind of springboard forwards, and it just isn't working out for them, quite simply. And even in that round just then, with 2 playing Hatch, 2 playing Stairs, and 1 trying to push through Construction, it comes down to the same story we've been talking around most of the map, is the BDS are just hitting their shots. It's not like Chaos have even got bad intentions or haven't got the right idea here. I think that kind of 3-way setup isn't a bad call. Maybe 2 on Hatch is a little bit excessive. You'd want a second one inside of Construction instead. Right ideas were there, but when BDS send 2 members to run out on you to play for the trade, what are you going to do? There's not much you can do in response.
I think the sad thing also is, if you look at the extended view there for Chaos, next one, it's his first game here with Chaos in EUL. And it's not looking not looking too good for him. I mean, I almost liken him to Joystick in the first stage, where Joystick was their entries, their Ash main player, their Jaeger as well, and he put up a really poor performance. And look where Team Empire kind of ended up. I pray that next one doesn't sort of befall the same outcome that Joystick had, where they had to sort of change roles to make up for that. But Vito as well, also not having a good game. I wonder if this comes down to the fact, like what you said, BDS are just the better gunners, and it's not that they're not doing the right thing, it's just that at the end of the day, they're getting outgunned.
Quite plain and simply, that is the way it seems to feel. We can hope that something changes in the next couple of rounds for them. Otherwise, this is lights out, good night, tucked into bed for the side of Chaos, and it'll be ending at a 7-2. Which puts us back into that kind of dire situation and mentality as we saw last season where they finished bottom. Yes, they had 5 draws. Ultimately, no one cares. It's still only 5 points that you walked away with. That is still you, like, being the #1 team in a spot to get auto-relegated when we step into the EU finals as we get towards November and December time. That's not a pretty image to have in your mind, and know that every single loss is only contributing towards you getting closer and closer to that. And BDS, well, they aren't letting up the pressure.
This is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Chaos are risking relegation with this last stage. There are no more stages to make up for it. We've only had 2 stages this year, and in future years, we'll have 3 full stages for teams to get things together. Unfortunately for Chaos, this is their last opportunity. Otherwise, they'll go down to Challenger League, and that's all she wrote, really. So this is not a good indicator of things to come for Chaos, unless it's just the fact that BDS are on something. They're the major winners. They're the best team in EU at the moment. So that could also be a factor.
Absolutely could. Let's see how this round plays out then. 1 minute 44 to go. Pretty peaceful start to a round. We've seen a bit of bloodthirsty action in the early stages of a round a few times now, then a bit of calm and quiet. BDS on their attacking side then had time to plan and execute with a lot of good time on their side. Here at the very least, Chaos are taking the same sort of approach, and BDS are just sitting back and saying, hey, totally fine by us. You want to force your way through the slow, old-school method where our focus is white stairs and double window. You're instead looking towards attic and pushing in through bedroom. Totally fine. As soon as you get to that trophy doorway, though, there is going to be hell to pay. And you can even see this cheeky angle being held by LM downstairs. I don't even know if they know that it's here, but they should have been aware of this so much longer ago with a couple of drones in there. Surely someone has got their eyes on.
There's some, some sprays coming through to meeting, and Secretly is now pinging exactly where he is. Surely he gets pre-fired and...
No.
Hello?
How? I mean, they get Shaiko elsewhere, fine, but it wasn't the intended target. Elen was the one that was lurking inside the kitchen, and clearly they messed with the pre-fire somehow. Don't quite connect. Unfortunate, but he walks away with his life. Fortunate for BDS, I suppose you could say. It is a 5 versus 4 for Chaos. Still much more to come from this round. However, there's only 35 seconds remaining. Chaos need to pick up the pace, Jess.
Alems has a C4 below as well. We've really got to hound on that fact as well. He's got vertical holes, he's got a C4, and there's not a lot of time here for Chaos. Do they have the diffuser ready to go for the plant? It's Secretly over in bedroom. He's the one, but the cover's not great. The cover will come from Trophy, and they're going to have to collapse in on this. Smokes will rain out as well, and oh no, diffuser down. Is this foretelling the end of this round? Going on to match point. Renaults will zoom in onto bed. Oh, Maestro, Red Shiro able to clutch things up, a pistol out in hand as the primary has no bullets left. And oh, This is not looking good for Chaos as they now go on to match point.
Pretty much a brutal slaughter. And the Maestro there was the best example with, I think it was Renshiro, crying in the spot where he jumped in through double window, knows the Maestro is there, is watching at the end of the bunk bed, and is like, right, as soon as he steps across there, he's dead. Yet Renshiro still has time to be looking the wrong way, turn left, and then shoot to get the kill before Cryin can even click on him to bring him down to low enough health to kill him. And it's the moments like that that really stand up and show there's a problem. Even with the Maestro getting 2 kills at the end despite taking a few bullets, like, I hate to paint a game so simply because there's always more at work, but it is just coming down to the better fraggers being on the side of BDS. And even looking across the scoreboard, those bottom 3, where are they in this game?
It's a bit of a shame because it looks like all of the BDS players are stepping up. Oftentimes we'll talk about Bride, we'll talk about the Shaiko game. Sometimes we'll even talk about the LMs, you know, back when he used to play Mozzie, for example, he'd pop off. But it feels like all of BDS is standing up. I can't even name one star player for this particular matchup because we've had multiple star players. And when you're going up against a team that usually has 1 or 2 star players, and now all of the team is stepping up, and it's the best team in Europe, that's a rough one, isn't it? And I think Chaos are getting the real blunt end of this right now. Do I think that their Oregon setup was great? Yes, I absolutely do. Do I think against another team that maybe would falter against it, would they have had a better scoreline? Absolutely. But going up against BDS here right now, they're the better gunners, they're the better team, and they're going up against the best in their region. I mean, after the mini-major, we can successfully call BDS that. And they're technically the worst in the region. This is super rough.
Really rough. I mean, coming into it as well, I had a bit of a conversation on Twitter with a couple of people where I predicted this to be a draw for the reason that I said is that BDS are kind of a roller coaster team. They come up and down, they have their highs and lows. SI, great example of success for them. PL season 11 completely flattened out, finished last. Came into last season, started out super strong. Second half of last stage, really flopped again, and then went on to win the major. So the Nets kind of predicted down or high point was going to be the start of the season. It wouldn't be a good start, but the end strong is how I thought they'd go. Here they're saying, no, Des, you are wrong. Your predictions stay incorrect as they always do. We are going to absolutely crush this and remind everyone why it was that we won this. And you know what? This time round, we don't concede first place to Rogue, and they are already making a statement with that today, and that is the best thing about it.
Opposite end of the spectrum here for both BDS and Chaos. BDS showing they are rightful owners of the best team, or the title of best team in EU, and Chaos quite possibly proving the latter. So we'll see how that goes for them. Is this a little bit of a vertical take here from Cryin? That's his job as a sledge, but he's not really going to get any angle onto Rafale as that wall is reinforced, and that's a really good reinforcement there to block anyone from being able to, you know, shoot through a small tower, but also vertically. That's an important point to point out.
It's the grenades as well that you can sing in the top of that wall if it isn't reinforced, if you're not careful. Rafale would have been blown to high heaven a long time ago. So it is about making sure that he's safe in there. Admittedly, you can try and weave it through the hole to the left, but it's a very, very tight angle. Bit of a risk of blowing yourself up if you're not too careful. But it does give you good coverage in towards dining itself. So this is playing out like a very, very standard round. Speaking of which, it's next one trying to do some damage, but it's Vito who strikes first, bringing down LM. So there is still something else left in this story, it feels like, from the side of Chaos. They bring it down to a 5 versus 3, but BDS can never be counted out, especially when you look at the players who are left alive and given all they have achieved so far. Shaiko and Brito need no introduction. Renshiro was the MVP of the whole major. He had a performance like no other. If you change Renshiro and Shaiko's name tags, you'd be forgiven thinking they were exactly the same player. It was incredible. However, Renshiro gets himself back up. It's still going to get put down in the dirt again. Looks like Chaos have finally found some kind of respite here and will give themselves a round if they can catch onto Brito. The old reliable. We all remember seeing him pop off at the start of last stage. The guy was an absolute beast, but I don't think even he can do this. Either way, walks around the corner and finds one. Must know plant's going down. Surely can see the edge of the diffuser, but gets swung out on by next one. And that'll be Chaos taking themselves another round. It is, however, 6-3. All BDS need is a single round, and this game is history.
I want to point out there that Brito was rocking the regional skin. Every single region gets their own skin on their own operator. He was rocking the smoke, which the NAL won, and all of those proceeds go to those regions, buffs up all of the different prize pools, etc. And I think you guys saw some of that R6 share skins today as well. So that's really something to point out, is that not only do we get to see the players, you know, play their game, but we also get to wear some of the uniforms that is going to support them as well. So that was really cool. I love that skin. I wasn't sure how it would look, but, you know, given how, you know, Brito looked on that, that was really nice. And I think Europe gets Twitch, which is really cool. Everyone loves the F2. Everyone loves Twitch. So, yeah, Yeah, I'm going to be rocking those going into my own ranked games, that's for sure. But I'm nowhere near the level of these players right now. And one round until a match victory here for BDS, and we need another 3 here from Chaos to be able to put them into a draw. That's their only hope. BDS have already reached the 6th round mark. That's it. It can only be a draw or a win for them. And given we're going back downstairs, some pretty good things coming here for BDS, very likely.
I've seen your stream a few times, Jess. You can stick that skin on, get yourself into a T-hunt and run around and pretend that you are a pro player.
Oh, thank you.
Just rather than calling them terrorists, why don't you just call them Shaiko and feel like you're killing one of the best players in the world?
Yeah, maybe. You know, sometimes the terrorists, especially on Realist, like, they just absolutely come running at you, as I expect Shaiko does in multiple rounds. So, you know what? Maybe that's how I feel.
Feel like you're beating BDS, because clearly it's something that Chaos can't achieve. Who knows, maybe you should try out for the next time they have tryouts.
Oh, if you could see my face right now. It is contorted in a way that I could not even put words to, I tell you that much.
I thought that's just how you look normally.
Oh, please. Well, I hope this match finishes soon, and so does BDS, because I'm sick of Darius. I'm sure you all are listening to this, and Drones will come zooming through for next one, who's not had the best time on his entry role. We spoke about it before, but we saw Vito pick up a multiple of kills on Small Tower in the last round, so maybe he can do some damage again and give Chaos another round, because they need all the rounds they can get if they want to even put this into a draw now. So we'll see how that goes for them.
Getting themselves to work pretty quickly amidst the chaos, with Freezer being opened up from the hatch. And that should mean you'll see a couple of members starting to push their way down. Freezer itself, every man back on drones and finding out what's going on. BDS all playing on site here as well, not looking for any shenanigans. You got Shaiko holding at the top side of this big tower stairs. Main reason for that being if someone does start sending drones down there, as they very well should, in case someone tries to peek around the corner. There's a free kill or two. In fact, park that thought, my man. He just goes, you know what? Nah, forget about that, Des. I'm running up the corner blind. I'm going to try and kill someone. And does manage to make it work for himself, bringing down the Habana. Admittedly, already done the work of getting those Excaros onto the necessary hatches, but it's a gun down, it's a gun removed, and it's another dent in Chaos's chances of winning this round.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
I mean, it was a punch hole, it wasn't a bullet hole. That was the mistake there for Vito. Bullet holes are the OP ones these days. Punch holes, nah, they're old school. You got a bullet hole at these days. And I think that's where it went wrong. But that ADS, or that ADS, I should say, that one, my disc will be absolutely disabled by a perfectly placed Thatcher, EMP from above. That's really good there for the team of Chaos, but they're still holding on to Pillar ever so slightly, and I believe that's the one why they're trying to challenge the back stairs. Next one, if he drops and he gets a ping as to where he is, he could easily get this kill as Rafale's focused on the back stairs. Flashes will rain out in less than a minute is left. Surely this is when they try and start to push onto site. They need this.
The horrible bait there, the Malusi gadget as well, just knowing that if someone does push down those stairs to knife it, well, it's the easiest kill of your life. So here, the fact that it sits there is a good indication when someone is there, and somehow there was one dropping down on site, I think, but all the numbers are flying the way of BDS. This is Jimothy Peak BDS. Nothing more you can ask for. They are looking like the champions that we saw back in the major. Doesn't matter about the Selma secretly. I don't think no matter what you try and do in this round, this one is pretty much done. Unless you picked up a few tricks during your time on Fierce whilst you were in Yukin, I'm pretty sure this round should be done and dusted. 20 seconds to go. 3 men left alive for BDS. Nothing more to come of it. Breeder going to collect the closing kill. And BDS, what a statement to the rest of the league. We are here, and this time round, #1 stays our spot. What a convincing victory over Chaos.
Absolutely. That's 3 in a row there for BDS. They've won Oregon twice before, and that's going to be a 3rd one in their pocket. And for Chaos, it's not a good start to this last stage. They're facing relegation. That's an awful side to be facing. And, well, this is going to put extra pressure on them moving in to the latter part of this stage. But nonetheless, we have to praise Shaiko, Alems, and the rest of his team who showed up throughout that particular matchup. It was a good one.